He says a man is locked in because if he leaves or complains, it will detonate the entire relationship. It's a double standard wrapped in a podcast mic. MTR argues that a man's persistence is just salesmanship and overcoming objection. I'm Dr. Jules, and we are auditing and decoding the shifting logic of MTR. Let's decode this together.
No, for the first time, even if you apply as an employee and the company says no, you may want to reapply. Sales doesn't work this way, right? They often train second and third attempts. Literally,
I recognize that the salesmanship's tactic is actually a failure in differentiation, seeing the person as an individual. You aren't seeing a partner, you're seeing an object to be cleared.
Literally nothing runs on if you get told no, not to try to appeal to the company, the person, in a way to maybe get that yes. Now,
wait, did you hear that? Persistence is salesmanship when he wants a yes. But watch what happens when the gender roles are reversed.
Meaning that they never talk about those that will weaponize their box because either they're not getting something or they hold it over a man's head to control him.
In a way to maybe get that yes. Now,
MTR claimed that coercion, as he found the definition on Google, requires physical force. A study published by Frontiers in Psychology confirms that psychological coercion, specifically coercive control, relies on the pattern of dominant behavior that limits a partner's autonomy, regardless of physical force. The law in California identifies coercion as a form of control, not needing physical force. In the UK, coercion is defined as a form of non-physical, psychological force that does not require the putting on of hands or verbal threats. And yet, MTR defines coercive behavior differently. I wonder what gives him that right.
Or third attempt is not, by definition, coercion. He didn't force her or threaten her. If this is coercion, then lock up every car salesman for fraud that's attempted to overcome your objections. Now,
he mocks the idea of verbal pressure being coercion because there's no force. But look at how he defines a woman's silence.
But then also people weaponizing or utilizing things that they know that the other person wants as leverage is bad as well.
When he calls her no a weapon, but calls his pressure a sales tactic, he's describing psychological warfare, not a sacred bond between two people.
Well, the crazy thing is that a lot of this sexless marriage stuff, it goes unreported because it's embarrassing, right? It's like embarrassing for the guy to talk about. And also, it can make the dude feel insecure. Like, yo, what is it about me that you are no longer interested in than before?
MTR defines withholding intimacy as a leverage tool. He acknowledges psychological leverage as control when men are the perceived victims, but mocks it as misinformation when women are the victims. Now, if a man can be controlled by a woman's silence, why can't a woman be coerced by a man's verbal pressure?
I'm for real, baby girl. I got that dog in me. Woof! How often do we use humor in order to lighten the mood, my G's? All right?
He views the male pressure as harmless humor. But how does he view female attraction?
They feed into the halo effect, right? The attraction to someone's appearance can sometimes trick your brain into assuming that they have good character, values, or intentions. They are not correlated, and you have to be able to understand that and separate it before you commit to anything within this.
The irony is so thick, you would pay $50,000 for a date with it. The hypocrisy is total. He notates the halo effect, which is an interesting psychological concept as a heuristic that people use to make mental shortcuts in identifying good people and bad people. More often than not, it's not effective in determining if a person has a good character. The halo effect is typically applied to physical attractiveness. It actually comes from the theorist Edward Thorndike when he was doing research on the military and found that when a soldier was highly ranked in something such as their strength, it was likely that the officer would also rank them very highly in other aspects of their training. It can actually work in a character level as well. If you are within a religious community, for example, and you know a man to be a pastor, you are going to make the mental shortcut that this person can be trusted, even if you don't know them. Now, of course, there are people who are like, I would not trust a pastor, or whatever the case may be. I'm talking in generalities. Just as a woman can use her physical attractiveness as a shortcut to get what she wants, it is not uncommon that a man can use the words that he believes a woman wants to hear.
How often do we use humor in order to lighten the mood, my G's? All right?
Baby, you know I love you so much. You look so beautiful today. Come on. A man can use words to exhibit a character of a loving, kind provider to get what he wants. They are both forms of pressure.
Homegirl down at the bottom says, sometimes it's like that, baby girl, right? She's speaking about compromise, small sacrifices, but at least we have some fun with it too. No! Diamond girl! He graped you! All right? What? Huh?
NTR calls a woman giving in after the third sales pitch for sex a small sacrifice and healthy compromise. Well, to be fair, he read the small sacrifice part, but he did notate compromise. In society, in relationships, it's not uncommon that one partner's exhaustion can be noted as a small sacrifice, male or female, but another person's compliance is a tragedy. In NTR's case, the woman's is a small sacrifice and the man's is a tragedy. This creates an unhealthy boundary in emotional expression because where the woman's identity is swallowed by the man's needs, the man has the right to an individual identity where his enmeshment is seen as entrapment. That's not logical. It's not rooted in reality. Compromise is defined as her ignoring her own exhaustion. But watch what happens when a man has to compromise.
Does this person have a genuine burning desire for me, or is it just like a transactional relationship, as what obviously the young lady on the left has set her life up to be? They will utilize it to advertise, to get you into the front door.
In a way, to maybe get that yes now.
Or while wanting you to ignore what it is that profile or the way that she demonstrates herself from a digital perspective actually means.
I'd also like to add in another psychological concept here. Getting your foot in the front door is actually a well-known strategy where you get somebody to say yes to something small. And then once you get your foot in the door, you ask for more. As a psychologist, I think it's very important that we call a spade a spade. MTR says words need definitions, and I agree. But those definitions shouldn't change based on who is holding the microphone. Let's build relationships on respect, not sales floor tactics. But I'm not analyzing MTR clinically or personally. I don't know him. I found this video very interesting and thought it a good opportunity to make some connections. I think the Manosphere content is very interesting and I'm seeing some consistent discrepancies. Comment below if you'd like me to do another video on the conservative Manosphere. MTR states that he wants healthy family dynamics. This is not the way to build one. If we want respect, we need to audit our own biases. This public demonstration of a very ill-informed opinion is extremely dangerous, not only because it can influence 900,000 people, but it can misinform people on a dangerous psychological concept that is often used for domestic warfare. Coercion is not a joke. It is very serious, and at least the manipulation of women, men, children all over the world. And unfortunately, your Google definition doesn't make the cut here. I'm Dr. Jules, and I'm happy to have decoded with you today.